Hello and welcome to another Doctor Who figure review. In today's Doctor Who figure review, I'll be reviewing the new revised B&M set, what have been released alongside with the regenerated 4th Doctor and TARDIS, because last year's B&M set was so popular they decided to update the figures that they released last year and give them, tiny differences. So this video is essentially going to be me looking at the 2018 version of the figure to the new revised version. But the main focus I'm going to be focusing on primarily is the 1970 set, because I'm actually going to do a proper review on the 70 set because I never reviewed it the first time around. So I will talk about the 12th Doctor, 11th Doctor set as well. But obviously the 1970 set is where we actually have the most noticeable changes of the figure sets. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to sort of show you the packaging because there's a slight difference within that. I'm just going to briefly talk about that. Then I'm going to talk about the 11th Doctor set, then the 12th Doctor set, then we're going to review the 1970 set, because there are a few little differences between each set. There's mainly one figure what's had the work done, what's been revised, but then the 1970 set's kind of had two big changes within there with the Brigadier and the 4th Doctor, which just a quick little side note about these figure sets. Be careful if you're ringing up B&M about these sets, because I rang up one of my B&Ms and they said, look, yeah, we've got the new Doctor Who figure sets. I was like, great. Went there and it turned out to be the old version. So they had new stock of, the 4th Doctor with his booted legs. So be careful about that. And then I went to another store and they had the revised versions of the set. And the same store where I got these had the TARDISes, but I couldn't get one because basically the person reserved all 6 of them. Probably a scalper. So yeah, so just be careful and be wary, because when they say that there's new sets available, it could be very much be the old stock from last year. So
the packaging for the revised set is exactly the same packaging what we've grown to see over the past collector's series, but the revised packaging does have a slight little difference. As you can see, Oswin no longer has a belt, and then the 12th Doctor set, you basically have Bill with her black trainers on. And then the 4th Doctor one is the most noticeable one, as you can see, because we actually see the 4th Doctor with shoes and white cuffs. So literally that's the only difference. You see, basically you have one photo of the revised figure on the side. So kicking off the comparison between the original 2018 version and this version of the 11th Doctor set, I have reviewed the 11th Doctor set, which I'll leave a link in the description below to that video, and the 12th Doctor set as well, and I'll put a link to the 3rd Doctor TARDIS video as well if you want to see that. So let's look at Oswin. So let's look at the differences. So if we bring in the 2018 version of Oswin, the most notable difference is she doesn't have a belt, and the hair doesn't have the brown wash on it anymore, and quite frankly it looks a bit more cheap, the revised Oswin figure, actually, when you compare it to the 2018 version. So yeah, obviously no belt. The dress, from what I can tell, looks exactly the same. The shoes are slightly different. As you can see, there's a darker red patterning on the new version. So yeah, literally that's the only difference. The major difference is the belt. So taking a look at Amy now, so if we bring in the 2018 version, as you can see, the only major difference is that she has a white top instead of a pink top now. So yeah, and then the skirt is now, instead of black, being a sort of navy blue. That's literally the changes within that figure. Everything else is exactly the same. I think the hair's slightly more orangey, more ginger. Moving on to the 11th Doctor now. So if I bring in the 2018 version of the Matt Smith figures, you can see the paint apps are a lot better, especially on the waistcoat and obviously the chain. The only other difference I can really notice is that the paint apps are a lot better on the new version, which is this one here, compared to the old one. So yeah, and the only other difference with the 11th Doctor figure is now the boots are now a gloss brown instead of a matte brown. So yeah, not really much has been done to the 11th Doctor. It's more refined paint apps for the 11th Doctor. Moving on to the 12th Doctor set now. So if we have a look at Missy, so if we bring in the 2018 version of Missy, as you can see, the dress is a slightly different shade of purple, which is literally the only major change with this figure. And the only other difference with this new Missy figure is that the paint apps on the face are a lot more refined. As you can see, the eyeshadow looks a lot more clearer than the original release, as you can see there. And the shoes don't have the sole painted on the new So moving on to the 12th Doctor figure now. So if we bring in the 2018 version, as you can see, the jacket has now become a lighter red and is less glossy, as you can see. So that's the only real change. And the trousers are now a more sort of grey gloss colour, and the boots have now got a better gloss
finish to them. So that's a 12th Doctor. Now this is a bit of a shame, this 12th Doctor figure, because when they said that they were revising this set, I thought, alright, character options are actually going to listen to us and they're going to give the 12th Doctor a waistcoat, because Alduar's on Gallifrey base, you know, been posting you know, teasers of the upcoming products. So Alduar, you're going to notice, you know, the common criticism with this figure, and that's the waistcoat. So this was character options' perfect opportunity to give the 12th Doctor a waistcoat, yet they didn't. It just baffles me that the sculpt is there, just why aren't you doing it? But it's just really odd. But obviously the whole point of this set is to obviously make you double dip, and obviously if you missed out on the set, then you've got a chance to get them again. But honestly, if they give the 12th Doctor a waistcoat, I can see a lot of people buying this set a lot more, because obviously people want a complete, you know, Capaldi look, because this is a little bit, just feels a bit empty really without the waistcoat. So taking a look at the final figure in the 12th Doctor set, which is Bill. Now Bill is probably the figure with the most changes within this set. So if I bring in the 2018 version of Bill, as you can see, the most noticeable difference is the sort of red bow is now on the new version of Bill. Not exactly sure what's more accurate. I think the orange bow is more accurate. And the t-shirt, the paint apps are a lot more crisp. There's no paint bleeds at all, so character options have improved on that, and it just looked a lot better than the original Bill, what they did. And the other noticeable difference with Bill is that she now has a black line going along her jeans, which is accurate to the story. And as you can see, the trainers are now black, which is again more accurate to how it was seen in the pilot, and we have a nice sort of brown wash over them. And even you can tell that they've literally repainted the turquoise shoes, because you can see a bit of turquoise there. So yeah, Bill is probably the most noticeable changes within the 12th Doctor set. And I will say this Bill figure seems the most sturdiest Bill figure I have. The arms aren't very rubbery, they're a lot more solid. If I just get the original one, the arms just feel very rubbery compared to this one. This one just seems a lot more solid, and it's probably the best Bill figure I own, because it just seems a lot more solid figure, and it doesn't feel like it's going to break when you know, move the arms. So yeah, that's an improvement. So yeah, the new Bill I really do like. So moving on to the next section of this video, which is a review of the 1970 set, and obviously I'll be talking about the differences from the original when we get onto the individual figures themselves. So here we have the Brigadier based from his appearance in The Invasion and Season 7 of the 3rd Doctor's first series. So if we take a look at articulation, now this is obviously a Captain Jack figure, what we saw released back in 2006. So the articulation is very basic, because this is a kit bashing figure. And I'll be honest, I never expected to see a Brigadier in this outfit. Maybe if we saw a Brigadier 10 years ago, we could have seen this released alongside a classic Silurian. That would have been marvellous. But yes, let's go on to the articulation. So the head can move side to side. The arms can do a full 360-degree turn, and they can bend at the elbow. The wrists can do a full 360-degree turn. The legs can do the split, but they are very stiff because it is brand new, and the legs can kick out and bend at the knee. So that's basically moving on to detail. Now obviously this isn't going to be entirely accurate to how we see the Brigadier in Season 7 and The Invasion, because obviously this is a Captain Jack body, so you've kind of just got to use your imagination. So if we look at the head, so the head uses the Claws of Axos Brigadier head sculpt, which I'll just bring in now. As you can see, the detail has been very simplified, especially on the beret. Especially you've got a unit sculpted there, and obviously this has just been simplified to a beige base coat with a little silver grey circle. The head, the sculpting on the paint apps on the face is done really well. I really do like it. It's very crisp, and it looks like the Brigadier smelt a dodgy fart. But yeah, looks a lot better than the original. The hair's done rather nice with a nice grey wash to highlight the detailing of the hair, which is done incredibly well. So if we look at the shoulder pads now, we've got sort of a detailing of the regiment details there, which is all very nice. We have the red sort of bandolier thing going along there, but obviously when you move the arm, you've just got a red circle, but it's a quite nice way to sort of cover it up. Moving down to the torso section now, the major inaccuracy with this figure is obviously this, the shirt and cravat. Obviously the Brigadier, within those episodes, he had a shirt and tie, but obviously we have to make the best of this situation, and they've kind of painted his cravat the vague colour what his tie would be. We have the 2 breast pockets, which is very accurate to how it was in the show. And obviously we still have the RAF badge there sculpted, but obviously they've tried to cover it up with the regimental stuff there. We've got a nice sculpting of a belt, which I think the Brigadier did have. The arm's done rather nice with a crease, but on the arm there should be a little unit badge there, but obviously for reasons, cost reasons I guess, it wasn't there. Then the trousers are nicely done with some nice creasing detail there with a nice seam of the trousers. So yeah, done rather nice there. Got more creasing detail there, which is done rather cool. So now onto the comparison from the original Brigadier figure that was released in 2018. So if I bring him in, yeah, you can really see the colour difference within this. As you can see, this is much more of a sandy sort of beige colour. This is more of a bright yellow. And when I first saw the photos of this Brigadier figure, I thought, God, he looks like he's canary yellow. But obviously, when you see him in person, in the shop, you think, oh, he doesn't look too bad. But when you compare him to the original, you think, oh, that does look a bit garish, which, doesn't really bother me. But I saw this figure go under heavy fire last year because people thought, oh, it's a really terrible Brigadier figure. It's actually not. I think to make this figure really work, you've got to give him a gun. And I think by giving him a gun, he just looks a lot better. So another difference with this Brigadier is the paint apps on the face. The paint apps just look a lot better in my personal opinion. So as you can see there, he looks a little bit creepy there, doesn't he? He looks a little bit dead, but this one, he does look a bit more alive, doesn't he? So yeah, I think that the new Brigadier has a lot better head paint apps, but I definitely prefer the sort of colour scheme for the original Brigadier. It just looks a lot more accurate. I'm using my gut instinct here, and I feel like that Brigadier here is more accurate to what this one is. But yeah, I don't mind having two of these Brigadier figures, simply because I can use this one to be with Pertwee, and this one can go alongside Troughton with the Invasion Cybermen. So it's a win-win really, but it would have been nice to have him with a gun, because honestly, once you give the Brigadier a gun, he just seems a lot more complete, doesn't he? So moving on to the Auton, again it uses the Captain Jack body from 2006, so basically this set is basically the Captain Jack set really, isn't it? So obviously this is a repainted, well not repainted because it's basically been moulded in grey plastic to match the Terror of the Auton's appearance, and it's basically used the Spearhead from Space sculpt. So yeah, it's always great to have more Autons, so if you do buy this set you'll have two grey Autons, which is always good because hey, love an army build. So obviously this figure is not accurate at all because obviously in Terror of the Autons didn't have these same masks used within Spearhead from Space. They had more of a featureless, smooth face really, but yeah, still looks rather nice when you put him up against your Spearhead Auton. So if you look at articulation, the head can move side to side, that's basically that. The arms can do a full 360-degree turn, and the elbows can bend, so he can raise it up with his gun. We do have waist articulation, which I forgot to mention on the Brigadier figure, can do a full 360-degree turn. The legs can kick out and do the splits, and they do bend at the knee. So if we take a look at the detail, now I would say, because obviously this figure does look very cheap, but I think that works in the Auton's favour, because remember the Autons are made of plastic, so having that cheap look does make him look rather creepy and sinister, with a nice sort of glossy raw, it has that raw plastic look which makes it look very sinister, especially with the eyes. It's got kind of a bit of a black wash around the eyes there. You can see all the different detailing. The scarf is a lighter grey colour compared to the Spearhead one. Then we have the sort of boiler suit, which has been moulded in a grey plastic, and you can see the detail of the two pockets there. Would have been nice if they actually painted the buttons and the buckle on the actual costume, just to make the figure pop a little bit more, because it does look rather basic there. We've got the nice seams on the trousers there, and again we have these nice silver boots, which I think is accurate to the story. And then we have the gun, which is done rather nice. You can see all the detailing of the mechanism. It's just a shame that it's not painted, because obviously that would have made it really pop like it did on the Spearhead Auton. So if I bring in the Auton from the original set, there's really nothing major about it. There's nothing really different about it, only that the difference in the blue colour of the gun, as you can see, it's a lot more darker on the new one. But yeah, I'm not complaining having two Autons. It's always good to have an army build, and it looks quite sinister having two, doesn't it? But it would have been nice just to have the standard hand, just so you could have one with the gun and just one with the normal hand. So moving on to the main reason why people are probably rebuying this set, and that is because of the Fourth Doctor. It's amazing what difference it is to have a Fourth Doctor with shoes and to have the cuffs painted. It just makes a figure pop a lot more. So moving on to articulation, the head can move side to side. Can't do a full 360 because obviously the Third Doctor collar is quite a tight fit for the Fourth Doctor head, because obviously this uses the Fourth Doctor torso sculpt but uses majority of the Third Doctor pieces. So the arms can do a full 360-degree turn once the cape is removed. We have bicep articulation, what can do a full 360-degree turn. The elbows can bend, and we do have wrist articulation, which probably can do a 360. Then we do have waist articulation, which can do a 360 if you force it. The legs can kick out and then can go to the side, but again it's hindered by the cape. I guess once you remove the cape, the legs can kick out properly. We do have thigh articulation, what can do a full 360-degree turn, and we do have bend at the knee. So taking a look at the detail now, the paint apps on the 4th Doctor face is one of the best 4th Doctor head sculpt paint apps I've seen, and it's probably one of the best 4th Doctor paint apps I've got in my collection. Actually, it's done rather nicely. We've got the nice sort of brown wash to highlight the curl detail there, which is done really nice to really show the different curls of the 4th Doctor's hair, which is done really nice. Like I said, the paint apps on the face is done incredibly well. The cape is obviously the 3rd Doctor cape. As you can see, they've basically repainted the Carnival of Monster cape to be an approximation of what it appears in Talons of Weng-Chiang, which, you know, you can't complain. Obviously, there was a detailing of there was a patterning on the wing section of the cape, but obviously for cost reasons they can't do that. So yeah, moving down to the arms. The arms are done rather nice. You can see we've got the buttons sculpted there. Obviously, it's not accurate. This is a really rough approximation of the Talons 4th Doctor. As you can see, we've got the frilly shirts there, which aren't accurate, and the hands. This is one of the things what I thought they could have fixed as well. As you can see, they've just repainted the 3rd Doctor's hands there. As you can see, you've got his ring sculpted there, grey. It would have been nice if they actually used the Roger Delgado hands. That would have been quite nice, you know, because they do have gloved hands what exist, and I think if they used those and painted them grey, it would have made the figure a lot better. But still, I'm not complaining. Moving down to the torso now, we have a new waistcoat sculpt, and they basically removed the plug-in cravat and used a plug-in tie for the 4th Doctor, and used a new waistcoat sculpt there, which is done rather nice. It's nice to see that character options are putting a little bit of money into the set, and they're not just straight but they're not straight repaints. So moving down, we've got the pocket detailing there. Now the waistcoat is meant to have a patterned detail. I think it's meant to have sort of a gold sort of pattern on there, which I think Talons of Weng-Chiang is the first time this waistcoat actually appears, and Tom uses it later on in season 16, and most notable in Sharda when he's doing the punting scene. But obviously the waistcoat doesn't have the small gold detailing, because you could imagine the quality control of character options if they did do that, so it's quite nice that they just kept it simple. But yeah, obviously back to the arms. It would have been nice if I used the, you know, the Pyramids of Mars 4th Doctor arms, or maybe it just wasn't compatible with the actual body, I don't know. Or use the season 12 arms, that would have been quite nice. But obviously we've got the frilly shirt, because obviously this is basically a 3rd Doctor figure. And then we have the 3rd Doctor legs there, with the nice creasing detail, the seam on the trousers and the glossy shoes. And again, the back of the cape there, we have this nice checkered tartan detailing, which is done rather nice. So if we get on to the comparison of the original 4th Doctor figure, oh, you can definitely see the differences straight away. And it's amazing what difference giving this figure shoes and painting the cuffs makes this figure stand up a lot better. It just makes it stand out a lot better on the shelf. So yeah, the cape is also slightly different. You can see it's a lighter brown, and also you can see it's a little bit difficult to get off that cape. It's a bit more rigid, whereas this one is a lot more flexible, so that will make it easy taking the cloak off. The jacket is slightly different. As you can see, it's more of a maroon reddish colour on the new one. This one's more of a glossy reddy brown colour, which, do you know, this jacket colour looks very similar to the 3rd Doctor Damon's jacket. So come on, character, give us a Damon's 3rd Doctor. That would be absolutely wonderful. But yeah, painting the cuffs, even though it's not exactly accurate, it just makes the figure look a lot better in my personal opinion. The hair, I will say, does look better on the original one. As you can see the more detailing on that with the curl paint apps on the sculpt, whereas this one just looks a little bit basic compared to the original. The waistcoat is slightly different. As you can see, we have a grey bluey waistcoat, whereas this is more accurate to how it was in the episode, more of a brown colour, which is very nice. But the most noticeable difference, and the thing what character options should have done right from the off when they did this figure, and that's give him shoes. So if we just move his legs out, as you can see, they've just repainted the Carnival of Monsters 3rd Doctor body to be Talons of Weng-Chiang 4th Doctor. But blimey now, look at that, look how better the figure looks by having shoes. Oh, it just looks a lot better. It just makes the figure just look a lot better in my opinion. I just love it. I just think it looks a lot better. You can see, it just looks really weird. When I got this figure, I was really happy because I never thought I would get a Talons of Weng-Chiang 4th Doctor. But when I got this version, it just blows this version out of the water. I just think it just looks so much better. Oh, it's just a small detail like that, a small change like that can make the figure become a lot better and just be... I think this has become one of my favourites actually. Just by just changing the legs, this figure has just become a lot better in my personal opinion. So yeah, absolutely wonderful and definitely a highlight of the 1970s set, and is definitely worth picking up because it gives you the definitive Talons. So what are my concluding thoughts on the revised B&M figure sets? Well, if you already bought these sets last year, then they can be an easy pass because there are only subtle differences between the original figures. But if I was to recommend one for you to pick up, I would definitely be the 1970 set, because I feel like that's the one what's had the most work done, especially the 4th Doctor. He just looks a lot better. And the Brigadier, nice addition, and obviously you can't complain because you can put one with Troughton and one with Pertwee. But the others, if you didn't pick up these sets last year, then obviously do pick them up, because obviously support the figure line. But the 12th Doctor set, I think, a close second place, and then the 11th Doctor set's probably the one I wouldn't recommend that much. I feel like the 12th Doctor set had potential to be, you know, the #1 spot. The Bill figure is probably the best Bill figure, you know, I own in my collection. The nice little changes of the trousers and the shoes to make it a bit more accurate in the paint on the t-shirt to make it, you know, no paint bleed on the t-shirt, very good. But the 12th Doctor, this is where the figure set could have really, you know, upped the 4th Doctor one personally. By giving the 12th Doctor a waistcoat, that would have made the figure just seem a whole lot better and make the 12th Doctor feel complete, because right now he does seem a little bit naked without the waistcoat, because, you know, that's an iconic look for the 12th Doctor. So if character options gave him a waistcoat, this, you know, this set could have been the #1 for me personally. Yeah, so I do feel like the 12th Doctor set was a missed opportunity. The 11th Doctor set, there's really not much you can do with that set, I'll be honest. If you're like me and is kind of fascinated by, you know, little variants, then obviously do pick them up. But if you did miss these sets, obviously pick them up. But if you did pick up these sets, then I can definitely see that they can be an easy miss. But obviously do get the 1970 set, because I'm very impressed with that. So yes, thank you very much for watching this revised slash, you know, overview slash review of these figures. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you on my next figure review, which will hopefully be the regenerated 4th Doctor and TARDIS. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. So thank you very much, and goodbye.